Movement 1. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing to you, my rock and my salvation. Amen. Well, it's good to see you on our second internet-based worship service. I hope that you are finding it easy to follow and easy to look at, and that you are drawing on it some kind of spiritual nourishment. You know, the topic for today is the gift of love. And I think many of us have an understanding of love that is rooted in the Romantic era. Now, the Romantic era lasted from 1750 till 1900. It was a time where people focused on things that weren't practical, but things that were emotive. That the title romance novel began to be written during this time period. The same is true about Victor Hugo's work, Les Miserables. A story where we hear about young Cosette and a young Marius falling in love. That we find that Marius's mother, someone who had money and who was born into wealth, would put that all away for a husband that she loved and who followed Napoleon. Cosette's mother wasn't much different. In fact, she fell in love with the soldier. She put her heart out on the line, and things did not come together for her. But the story of Cosette and Marius is one that is quite different from that of either Cosette Fantine or Marius's mother. It was one that was possessed with desire, loyalty, and greatness. That it was a love story that was built out of devotion, loyalty, and a whole lot of eros. You know, before the Romantic era, people fell in love in different ways. In fact, yes, they fell in love with pragmatic ways. The story of Abraham and Sarah is one of those stories where a husband and wife travel the Fertile Crescent together. Then they end up in Egypt and return to what we would characterize as the Holy Land of Israel, named after the great place that the children of Israel would call home, the children of Jacob, who had two wives, Leah and Rachel, and how he would work for his uncle Laban in the fields. He would work in order to marry the two. But the story of Les Miserables is one that is different. It is one steeped in romanticism, where folks shake off the riches of the past, shake off the social conventions that said that you need to marry of a certain standard. You need to marry for love. It's interesting, the story that we have from Victor Hugo as we listen to the way that Cosette and Marius begin to see each other. Marius is that young man, I almost want to say teenager, who sneaks over the garden wall and throws pebbles at the windows of Cosette. There they exchange beautifully written love notes of one to another, after a chance meeting of where Marius only sees Cosette for just a brief moment of time. It's just that moment of time that has him hooked. It's just a moment of time that says, this is the woman for him. And they called it puppy love. Here ends movement 1.